Yo, what is going on, Guardians, and welcome back to another Destiny 2 gameplay video. Hey, in this video I wanted to discuss a question that I think the Destiny community and developers Bungie have wrestled with for years now, and that question is this: is there a place in Destiny for ability-focused builds, or are they doomed to be niche and near extinct moving forward? I think this is a tough question to tackle because, I mean, there's so many variables, including, the strength of various abilities, the synergy they have with numerous exotics, and stat allocations in your armor build, and even issues with balance in the sandbox and personal preference for each individual player out there. And as you probably well know at this point, next week, everything we know about abilities and ability regeneration speeds is changing next week. A lot of abilities, most abilities, are getting changed in terms of how long it takes for them to cool down, how much damage they do, how effective they are. A lot of the core traits about these abilities are going to be upended and just completely changed. So, real quick before we dive into that discussion, in this gameplay you're going to be seeing one of my favorite niche ability builds out there. I did a video on this build a little over a year ago, and that video is called Ride the Wave, if you want to watch it, and I unpack everything very extensively there in that video. That build was inspired by a YouTuber and streamer named Slick, S-L-I-Q, who posted this build on his Twitter back then. It's hilariously fun. It's all about throwing fire out in front of you in a myriad of different ways. So the basic rundown is that I'm using the Martyr's Retribution, which is a wave frame grenade launcher that shoots a wave of fire out on the ground in front of you. It comes from Season of Dawn. It is no longer available. If you have it, you have it. If you don't, you do not. Sorry. I'm using the Kepri's Horn exotic helmet for the Titan, which makes your barricade shoot a wave of fire out on the ground when it's deployed that goes out, and then it comes back, and it deals big damage. Almost nobody ever uses this thing. It's ugly in a cool kind of way. It's like, you look at it and you're like, that's ugly, I love it. It's one of those, right? Very uncommon thing to see. You probably can't remember the last time you got hit by a wave of fire from a barricade. I'm also using the Thermite Grenade that does the same thing, shoots a wave of fire out as well. So basically this build is just about coating the floor with fire. On top of that, ability kills and Kepri's Horn kills leave sunspots on the ground, which damage enemies and recharge my abilities when I pass through them and give me a damage buff. So it's a sick build, lots of fun, lots of synergy. I hope you really enjoy the gameplay in this video. If you find it entertaining, please consider dropping a like on the video so that I know that you enjoyed the offbeat gameplay. Okay, back to the topic at hand. Recently, Cool Guy. If you don't know Cool Guy, check him out on YouTube. One of the best PvP YouTubers out there right now for the Destiny community. Very thorough and thoughtful YouTuber. Check his stuff out. Anyways, he posted a video recently talking about how ability-focused builds are so unpopular outside of the obviously broken abilities in the game, like Shadow Dive, which is thankfully getting put in the grave next week. But most players are avoiding ability-centric builds because they're too costly and inefficient in PvP. To spec for an ability build often means foregoing some of the most important things like recovery and even mods like your dexterity mods and reload speed mods, because you're more focused on your kickstart mods and you're charged with light mods and whatnot. So people would much rather have their health back faster and faster movement speeds and high intellect, since those things are always important. And most people are going to avoid ability-centric builds because your abilities are only going to affect the engagements that you have them cooled down for. So a lot of times you're like, I have spec to make this ability really, really cool, but unfortunately I'm only going to have that ability up every 30 seconds. So all the time in between, I don't have an effective build. I just have my regular old gun to work with, and I'm playing against somebody who's got stompies, double targeting mods, dexterity and reload mods, and unflinching mods for their gun. And I have to go up against that with just my vanilla gun, and they've got all these extra things going for it. So anyways, that's why the most popular exotics used among the more serious PvPers out there are almost exclusively movement and neutral game exotics. You don't have to activate them. They're just always enhancing your every engagement, right? Stompies, Ophidian Aspects, Transversive Steps, Dune Marchers, Dragon Shadow, all of these things are neutral game enhancers and are subsequently the most popular choices among players today. And not just today, but as far back as I can remember, honestly. My concern is that the abuse of broken abilities over the course of Destiny's lifespan has jeopardized the integrity of other perfectly balanced and fun ability-focused builds. One of my favorite things about Destiny is that you don't have to be a god with a hand cannon in order to be good at the game. You don't have to be the most cracked out gun wielder in order to succeed. There are a wide variety of skill sets that can be leveraged in Destiny for success in PvP. Maybe you don't have the best recoil control in the world, so you like to find creative ways of making up for that by finding synergy between maybe a unique exotic weapon and an ability from your favorite subclass, right? Maybe you found a way to be an AoE monster, locking down choke points with things that punish reckless players. Maybe you like to be a support player, giving heals, overshields, and buffs to your teammates. My worry is that this next update is going to make it even harder to lean into these skill sets, so the skill gap will get even wider in favor of the most elite PvP players out there, which they will be happy about, no doubt. About up until the point where the common player decides that the Crucible isn't their thing anymore. And then suddenly there are no more casuals for them to farm, and they're just playing against people like them all the time. Now, I'm not saying that that's my prediction. I'm not saying PvP is going to devolve into a gunplay sweatfest like it was when D2 launched, but I'm definitely a little worried that Space Magic builds, one of the things that makes Destiny unique among other shooters right now, might be even less common moving forward. I know some people just want gunplay, and admittedly, I like gunplay-centric sandboxes because I really enjoy leaning into primary usage when I play. I main double primary, and I have for a while now. So this change isn't really going to hurt me directly too much. I tend to gravitate towards perks that enhance my weapons anyway, but I feel bad for the people who like to play unique builds like this one in the gameplay today. I hope they can find creative new ways to play the game the way that they love. Fire, electricity, purple explosions, and ice, these things are part of the core Destiny experience, and I want to make sure that they still shine moving forward. We'll have to do our part, though, as a community, right, to make sure that we give good and consistent feedback about what we're experiencing and how we'd like it tweaked moving forward. The sooner we can give feedback on what we're experiencing, the sooner they can start ironing out the kinks. Don't want to take too long. Some of the worst sandboxes in the history of Destiny are the ones that just, it's not that they were horrible, it's just that they lasted too long, right? They just dragged on. You think of some of the more popular shooters out there that are constantly shaking up the meta and making tweaks and adjustments, every season that are meaningful and change the landscape of the game and the way that it's played. And Destiny doesn't really have that too much. I mean, I will give credit where it's due. Recently, Bungie has been pretty good about doing more consistent sandbox updates, but we have had some very long seasons in the past that we're still a little bit emotionally scarred from, where we had to wait for a year to see meaningful changes to the things that were oppressive in PvP, and I don't want to relive that. So let's be consistent about giving feedback about what we're experiencing when this new patch drops next week. So let me ask you this, are you concerned at all? How are you feeling overall about the changes in the near future? Are you excited? Cautiously optimistic? Are you concerned? Somewhat in between? Let me know in the comments section. Thanks so much for watching the video today, and if you got to the end, type #FlameOn in your comment, and I'll try to make sure that I leave a heart on it. So be warm and well fed, my friends, and I hope to catch you in the Crucible.